Hello everyone, Coach Carol here with you again. This next tutorial is on how you can use the combination of the two AI tools, Chat GPT 4 and DALL-E 3, to create illustrations to bring in historical aspects for your ancestral stories. Today I'm going to take you with me on a little journey into history. It's not about my ancestors this time, it's about an incident that happened in the 1920s. What I had found in the newspapers of the time was an article about a murder in a town not far from where my ancestors came from. So I was intrigued and I went to find that article using Find My Past. I took a transcript of that image and asked Chat GPT here to give me a full transcription of the article. And this talked about the taxi murder mystery. So it happened at Thruxton Down, Andover. Sydney George Spicer was the dead chauffeur. So he had been murdered. He had been last seen alive leaving the Salisbury Market Square on 9:45 on Saturday evening. And in the car with him were two ladies and two men and a soldier in the front by his side. So that really intrigued me. I wanted to find out a little more about the whole story. So I went back again to find even more articles about the incident. Let me show you just a few of those. So by going into Find My Past and using the search feature here and selecting newspapers and putting in a very simple prompt here, which is murder at Thruxton, as you can see here, it came up with 7 matching newspaper articles. This is the first one that you saw a snippet of a moment ago, and here are the others from different newspapers around England at the time in the months following the incident itself. So now looking into June or May of 1920. So I gathered a few of these, and you do that by simply right-clicking on the article to bring it into view, and so I can see each one. This one wasn't very clear in its text, so I decided on another, which gave an even clearer depiction of parts of the story, as you can see here. So there's quite a lot to be learned. And in this particular one, I wanted to take an image of this portion of the article. Now, in Find My Past, you can create a clipping using this tool here. Click into that, and it will bring up this little framework that you can place anywhere in the article. And so by centering it over that piece there, I can then clip it, and then you get a preview over here. Looks reasonably clear, and then you download it into your system as a JPEG file, which I've already done. Now it's that is the most important part of the next step. Coming back to Chat GPT, I'm in Chat GPT 4 and I'm using advanced data analysis at the top. And what I can do there is ask it to analyze an image, which I did here. So let's try that again. I'll just move things around on my screen. And you'll see at the bottom here that you can add a file. So I'm now going to add that image from the newspaper that you saw me clip a while ago. I'll just pause here while that brings it up from the background. Now that I have that article, I have uploaded it here, you can see, and now I just need to prompt with my request. And execute that prompt. Go to the bottom and see what it does with that. So we'll take a few seconds because it needs to read through using the optical character recognition on the image that I've uploaded. So you can see that it's now working, it's finished working, and it's now giving me an error, which often happens. So I will regenerate. Give it a moment to try that. It does tell me that it's looking at the article from the Liverpool Daily Post, dated June the 9th, 1920. Not working for me today. That is disappointing. However, what it does do, I'll just come back to the top of this one, is it does give you eventually the transcription of the newspaper article that you're looking for. In some cases, if it's a very long article, you may need to segment it, which I did with this one. And so I ended up with 4 transcripts from the Western Gazette of May 28, 1920. Then using some of the information from that article, we can use DALL-E 3 to create some imagery. Let's find out how to do that next. In this separate chat, I've now switched on DALL-E 3 and given a prompt to ask for a sketch in a black and white drawing style of a scene ready for inclusion in a graphic novel for a forensic detective story. And this has the heading of eyewitness account at a suspicious event. So I'm using the data from that real event in Thruxton in the 1920s. And finished it off by saying, a cyclist passing along the Thruxton Down Road, some 5 miles from Andover, about 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, discovered a man lying a few yards on the other side of a hedge. And that was reported in the newspaper. So it came up with these 4 different looking images. The first one did a great job with the text, something that DALL-E 3 is not always good at. But this shadow here on the ground looked a bit odd to me. Wasn't sure what that was all about. The second one over here, the body is there in the hedge, so that's not a bad depiction of the scene. This one I really liked. It had that quirky feel about it, and the surprised look on the cyclist, the body in the ditch, and someone lurking close by. This one didn't do too well with the spelling of on the signpost, but had most of the scenery in place, and it describes it below very well. So what I said to it next was, that is what I'm after, almost. Please try again and emphasize the cyclist's surprise and depict an ominous atmosphere. He sees the motionless body of a man lying in an unusual position behind a hedge. This is what it came up with next. The first one was really quite good. Although the body is not quite in the hedge, it's not bad, although it does look as though it's only just happened and perhaps he was knocked down by the cyclist. Not quite what I was after. And some of the others you can see here were just a little too scary for this one. The one on the right could be used, although parts of the body are distributed on the ground. Not sure what's happening there. But you'll see what happens when you further investigate the story. So I went on and I said, all right, I'd like now to see a police officer interviewing the cyclist at the police station. But I forgot to mention the era. So it's come up with a more modern look for the cyclist wearing a modern helmet and a more modern looking police officer. It had some problems with the other images, as you can see here. This one was closer to the era, but this time the cyclist has lost part of his clothing. I'm not sure what's going on there. But they do, as it says, capture the intensity of the moment inside the police station. So then I wanted to take it a step further and looking into more of the articles from the newspaper reports, I went back to find out what had happened. And there was a tale of what happened prior to the body being discovered, that the taxi was seen with Sydney George Spicer in it. He was last seen alive, leaving Salisbury Market Square in the evening. And in the car were 2 ladies and 2 men and a soldier in the front. And this is a 1920s taxi cab in a busy market. I was trying to make sure that it had the right context this time. And came up with these. This first one is quite good. Didn't get the number of people quite right, but the era, the type of taxi cab is correct. Spelling is good. This one, not too sure why the officer is on the roof of the cab. A little odd. And then this one, a little more eerie. And this one, not quite depicting the scene. Don't know where the ladies came from. But you'll see where I'm going with this, that we can now describe the event as was transcribed in the newspapers with imagery. A little bit of difference here. Try it out. I wanted to make sure that these were drawings in black and white, more like your pen and ink drawings. So you might want to be specific with your prompts this time. Have some fun with this one. See if you can find an article from a newspaper and where you've got some descriptions of a scene, then ask Chat GPT and DALL-E 3 to come up with its version of the scene using a black and white pen and ink drawing. Good luck with that.